Okay, so I think I'm understanding your question correctly. I'm just going to pop over here to the lab itself. So I'm going to scroll down to the table that you need to fill in. So I just want to mention really quickly is the settings, because if you change the settings, you're not going to get the right answers. So the settings have to be like this: the angle of incidence set to 45, and the index of refraction medium 1 is set to 0. Excuse me, 1.0. So on the side here, you're going to see those settings. So that's the first part that's really important. The part about actually measuring it, which I think is your question. So that's under here, the angle of refraction. So I answered the question earlier that someone asked, which is these numbers, they are to the hundredth, so 1.31. But if we look at the app itself, which I'm just going to play over here, the app itself does not go up to that decimal place. So like right here, if I wanted to set it to 1.31, it won't let me. It just defaults to 1.3. Okay, so that is totally fine. We're aware that that happens. You're going to have to discuss that in a later part. So right now, everything is set to what it's told me in the table. So even though it said 1.31, it's not going to allow me to do that. So when I press play here, I'm just going to take off these waves. What I have to measure, I don't need to measure the angle of incidence because like I was saying before, it's already here. It's 45 degrees, but I do need to measure the second angle. And so I click on this, measure an angle, and then I have to drag it. So I want to keep one leg of the protractor on the dashed line, and the other leg I can move to this line. So in this particular example, I got 33.26. So going back to my example here, I would write into this box 33.26 if that's the angle I got. Now, what we've mentioned before, and the question that I've answered several times now, is 1.33. When I round that, I still get 1.3. So, in other words, this value that I just measured, 33.26, it's going to also fit in for that same value, right? Because it's the same index of refraction. If I move to 1.36, I need to round that to 1.4, right? Because it's a rounding. I have to round it to the nearest tenth. So I hope that answers the question. I'm going to just stop sharing, stop recording now, just so I can answer the next questions.